One of the biggest mistakes you can make with a narcissistic person is assuming that because you would protect somebody's vulnerability, they will too. Because sometimes the moment you finally feel safe enough to tell them something like, this is what I'm insecure about, or this is what happened to me as a child, or for example, this is what I'm frightened of, this is the one thing I couldn't really cope with losing. You think you're just creating intimacy with this person. They may have just learned what hurts, okay? And this isn't only about, for example, romantic relationships. This person can be a parent, a sibling, this can be a friend, or it could be a work colleague, a neighbour, someone very close to you, or somebody that you trust in the workplace. Think about whether you've experienced this in the past. So, for example, you tell somebody privately, I've always worried I'm not a good enough parent. 6 months later, during an argument, even you know you're not a good parent, mother, father, whatever. You know, for example, you tell a colleague, I'm struggling with my confidence or with this at the moment. Then suddenly that insecurity appears disguised as concern in front of the boss. Or for example, you might tell a parent, I've always felt like I'm never enough for you. And the next time that you set a boundary with them, you'll get something like, you've always been insecure and overly sensitive. That's what makes this so painful, because the thing is, the information is true, but the conclusion they're attached to isn't. They're taking something you revealed during a moment of trust and strategically placing it somewhere they know you'll struggle to defend. And eventually, something really sad starts to happen, or it can happen, because you stop being vulnerable. And I'm not saying just to them, because you should be, but with everybody. You start treating openness like danger because somebody taught you that anything soft you reveal about yourself might eventually become ammunition to someone. And that is something that you really have to unlearn with the right person. The lesson isn't, obviously, never trust anybody again. It's that vulnerability should be earned, okay? Because pay attention to what somebody does with the small things you tell them before trusting them with the big ones. If you're dealing with narcissistic abuse or trying to heal afterwards, I have a private community called Survive and Thrive. It's full of people who understand these experiences. There's tools to help you heal, and you'll also have direct access to talk to me in the chat inside the community. I'm going to leave the link in the description below. But before you go, I want you to think about one question, okay? So grab a pen and paper, and if you're comfortable, then answer it in the comments, but you absolutely don't have to. What part of yourself did you stop sharing because somebody once made you regret being honest about it? Okay? Really think about that, because vulnerability was never ever your weakness. The weakness belonged to the person who saw your trust and then decided to weaponize it. Okay? Until next time, take care.